And I've almost dropped this question from my interviews because so many high school students, so many young adults just answer this question so poorly.
Hey y'all, thank you guys for joining us for our next step segment. I am super excited about this. We are talking about the interview process, and we have the honor and privilege to have George Houston with us here today. George is the district manager of Zaxbys in our area, and so thank you again for being here. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and just what do you do each day?
Again, my name is George Houston. I've been working at Zaxbys since 2003. I started off, I was going to Darton at the time. I started off washing dishes, cooking chicken wings, and one thing led to another, and just kept working hard and showing up, and eventually became into the title that I have today. I am married, I have 6 kids, and Zaxbys has been just a really good career for me. It's a great company to work for, top down, even the corporate level to the local ownership. I've really enjoyed working at Zaxbys. As far as what we're here today, hiring, just this last month, I probably interviewed 40 to 50 different high school, college age people. We've hired 36 since the start of the month, and so I do it a lot, and so I do a lot of interviewing. I've seen a lot of applications, talked to a lot of high school students, work with training them, getting them on board, and getting them set up for their first jobs.
Yay. So I think that's why we have you here today, because we were talking and we were like, George would be a great person to bring in and share your expertise in this field of, you're talking to these students, kids, young adults all the time. So you're kind of seeing the good and the bad and the in-between. And I think you have some great advice that you can share today. So I want to start out just asking you, what are some things that they do not need to do in an interview, you shouldn't do in an interview? And if you have any stories or like real life examples of things that you've seen that kind of made you cringe a little bit and you could share with us, I think that'd be helpful.
Awesome. Some things I would even say before we get to the interview, I see a lot of mistakes before the interview process starts. They don't even get a phone call, or they don't even get an interview because they're making mistakes. And so it's little things like attention to detail, like missing phone numbers on applications, incorrectly typing in maybe an email address, that kind of stuff. And so when I'm looking at applications, if I can't read it, number one, I can't call you. If I don't know the number, if the number is not active, I can't call you. I can't get in touch with you. If there's a lot of misspellings or they're not capitalizing, just little things like their name, it looks really bad. Especially if I got a stack of 20, 30 applications and I'm only hiring for 4 or 5.
Moving on to the next
I'm moving on to the next one. So if you can't write neat, get someone to help you. Make sure your application, your resume, whatever you're turning into a company, it is right. Because this is the first look that a HR manager is going to see is this piece of paper, this document. And so you want to represent yourself in the best light possible. Next, before we even get to the interview, is some things that they can do to set themselves up for success is make sure that they have whatever cell phone that they put down accessible, that they're ready to answer it. You're probably going to be getting a phone number from a number that's not programmed in your phone that you don't recognize. Some people may call from a block number, a restricted number. Be aware that you've put in 5, 6, 7, 10 applications at different places and
answer the call.
Expect to be getting hired somewhere. Believe in yourself a little bit. And so answer the call. They may call and you may be in the middle of church, or you may be in the middle of band practice, or whatever it is. Call that number back. Have your voicemail ready, voicemail accepting voicemail, because they may want to leave a message. So many times it goes voicemail full, phone number not working, that kind of stuff. Make sure that if you have the ringback tone, that it's appropriate, that I'm playing an appropriate song
Yes.
with appropriate language. If you don't understand that, then I can't help you there. But because it tells me a lot about you. And if I can't get you on the phone, if you're not unable to return the call, I just go to the next application because I'm gonna set up 10 interviews.
Yeah.
And once I get my 10,
You're done.
Your application may be on the back of the stack. I may not come back to it. It may be marked reviewed on like a online application process, and I may not see it as new. So making sure that you dotted all your I's, crossed all your T's on everything, that you're prepared, you're ready to receive a phone call, you're excited. If you look online, they'll even tell you have a pen and paper ready, because they may call and say, hey, can you start tomorrow? Can you come in this time? And be able to jot that stuff down so that you're prepared for the interview.
That's good.
When they come to the interview, some things that you may want to consider is, one, being early, being a little bit on time. That's really important, because most places, they may be having 3 or 4 interviews that day. They may be having a bunch. And if you're late for that, it's going to show a red flag.
Yeah.
Right.
Things happen. That most people will work with you if you call, that kind of stuff. But come on time, come dressed ready for the job. You need to look right. I've had people come in with profanity on their T-shirts.
Yeah.
I've had people come into interviews with no shoes on. And I just can't hire anybody like that.
Oh,
I can't go to my boss and say I hired this guy that came in with no shoes.
Yeah.
Now, don't overstress it. Look at how the team members dress, how the employees dress at that location. What are they wearing? And dress about that level or a level up. Like for Zaxbys, we're wearing jeans and collared shirts. So, if you're a guy, maybe dress pants and a collared shirt or button up and down would look nice. If you came in a tuxedo, you would look kind of silly.
Yeah.
If you came in an evening gown dress, you would be well overdressed, but you want to look like what the place of employment is hiring.
Dress the part.
Dress the parts or slightly better, and come ready for the interview with that. Another thing that's important coming pre-interview that I would recommend is be prepared for the interview. Just like in school, you do homework, you practice, you take quizzes before the final exam. Yeah. Just like in sports, you practice, you go to workout, you do conditioning drills. Same thing. It's so important when you come to the interview. I can tell immediately if you are ready for this interview.
Yeah.
I ask the same questions, and I know these students, I know the schools that they go to, I know some of their teachers, and it's, one, they're nervous, and you're going to be nervous. If it was your first time
that's normal.
That's normal. If this was your first piano recital, you would be nervous. If it was your first football game, you would be nervous. Same thing in an interview. If it's your first job, you're going to be nervous, but the way to not be nervous is to have practice and to be prepared. And so my advice, go to Google and top 10 interview questions, top 25 interview questions. What does every HR person interview question they're going to ask? Because that's going to be similar to what you're going to get. And so have your mom, have your coach, have your best friends interview you, get on FaceTime, chat with them, have them ask you those questions, and then give you feedback on how you sounded. What does that sound like? What would be something better to say? A lot of times on the internet, you can read a lot of blogs about, hey, be prepared for this question. It's a popular question. Here are some ways you could answer it and tailor it to your experience, your life, so that you can sell yourself. Yeah. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true. I see these kids and I know, all right, they're in these programs, they're smart, they're talented, but they're nervous. And I have to read between those lines. You don't want someone having to take a chance that you are great.
Right.
They want to see that you are great, and it's like, yes, I'm excited about hiring you to come on board with us.
And you're an exception, because not every manager is going to read between those lines, really. Like, they're not going to take the time to be like, oh, you're probably a great team player. If you're not presenting that, like how you show up. And I also want to address something, I think you said something important, like, we don't want to overlook that everybody's in different areas of their life. Somebody's not showing up with no shoes or showing up with it could be that's a monetary issue. But I would also challenge that. Go to Goodwill.
Yes, I was thinking the same
You know,
thing.
like go get some nice pair of pants and nice pair of shoes. And we're not asking you to spend a whole bunch of money.
No.
What we are going to tell you is put an effort in when you show up.
Yeah.
Because you can go like to Goodwill, Salvation Army and get stuff very cheap, wash it, clean it up, and show up and be presentable.
I don't care the name brand on your shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it wrinkled? Because you can control that.
Yeah.
Is it tucked in?
Yeah.
You can control that.
Yeah.
Like, is it clean? You can
Yeah.
control that. Because if you're not clean, if you don't take any pride in yourself, then are you going to take pride in
The work.
my store, the
Yeah.
work that you do, the cleaning of other things? And so
And you work in food, so that's sanitary.
it's really important. So it's not necessarily
Yeah.
the name brand that a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah.
It's how well you put yourself together,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
present
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. I love that. So, George, during the interview, what is your favorite question to ask?
Okay, I've got a few questions that I like to ask. One is I'll ask team members or potential team members, I'll give an example. I will say, hey, at Zaxbys, we get really busy, drive-through wrapped around with cars, a lot of people coming inside, online orders, call-in orders. Tell me a time when you've been put in a stressful situation and how you handled the pressure of it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's, okay, here's the expectation. It's going to be busy at Zaxby's. It's going to be hectic. I want you to know that coming in, but I want to see that you can handle this. And I ask a lot of questions where I'm not looking for a certain answer. There's no right or wrong. There's just really good answers and then just awful answers.
Yeah.
And so for this one, I mean, some of them will say they'll use sports references, and they're put in pressure situations. Or I get a lot of, hey, it's the end of the school year and I had this paper due and it meant the difference in this letter grade and that letter grade. And I went to my teacher and got some extra, tutoring on this subject and stayed up all night and I got it done and met the deadline.
Yeah.
And that just tells me that they have some grit.
Yeah.
When things get tough, that they can handle it.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm looking for a certain deal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, do you have this experience? Are you prepared for it? Have you babysat 4 kids and the pressure of having to cook and one was in diapers and one was older and how you handled that? How are you going to handle it when a guest is asking difficult questions and you've got a line and the kitchen needs help and this? And are you prepared? That's what I want to see from them.
Yeah.
And so that's one question because it puts them in a real Zaxby scenario. It's not a question that you're going to get off of Google type question.
But it's good too, I think, that you're pointing out, even if you don't have that work experience, they're able to take the real life. I was a student, I played on a sports team, and they can use that to still show you how they could handle a stressful situation.
Right. I mean, 8th graders they have stress. 10th graders have stress.
Yeah.
College kids, they all have stressful situations, whether this is their first job or their 5th job.
Yeah.
You've been somewhere where you had a deadline, you had a lot of people counting on you, you did a group project,
Right.
and nobody else wanted to help. And you've got these stories.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to be prepared for questions. When every interviewer is going to ask you, tell me a little about yourself. Well, you're the expert on you.
Yeah.
You need to have sat down by yourself for 30 minutes and think about all your work experience, everywhere you volunteered, at church, babysat, where you helped on your grandpa's farm and you did all this yard work. If it's your first, never had a job before, you've helped. You stayed after school and did tutoring for a teacher. Whatever it is that you did, you should be an expert on you and be prepared to be ready to recollect some of these situations.
Definitely. I think it just goes back to that, being prepared. You're there to sell yourself, like you said. And if you've prepared, you've thought through some of these questions, and then being enthusiastic about it when you're talking, because you are trying to sell yourself. So, you get asked, tell me a bit about yourself. You don't want to just say, oh, I don't know. You don't want to do that. I don't know.
So many times I will tell me a little about yourself. I don't know. I like to read. I like to play video games with my friends.
Right.
And it's just like that low energy.
Yes.
Like, do you even want this job? Like, because I asked that question, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work at Zaxby's?
Yeah.
And a really poor answer is, well, I just need the money.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a job for the monetary, but why Zaxby's over another restaurant?
Right.
Why this company versus that company? Why did you apply here?
Yeah.
Do you love the food? Do you love the product? Do you love, hey, all my buddies work here and they say, hey, it's great, or y'all are flexible with hours, or I want to own my own restaurant one day, and so that's why I'm applying at your restaurant, because I would like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so be prepared for that question, but have some energy, have some passion.
Yeah.
You can be introverted and still be excited.
Right.
Introverts do get excited. I do not like to talk to strangers, but you probably wouldn't know that. I am very introverted. I do not, if I go grocery shopping, I'm not going to say hey to anybody. But be passionate about what you're doing. Be excited about what it is that you're doing. Be in the moment and be prepared to speak on yourself and sell yourself. That's the name of the game.
One thing when I was a manager in retail, what I found when I used to do group interviews that was very interesting, like people will take on the mannerisms of the group. So if you have that group, like, oh, I'm trying to be cool. I'm not going to really answer that question.
Everybody.
And I would say shine. No matter what, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, because that's a one-time you're in my face. If you want to go with everybody because they trying to act like they too cool, all of them in the same position. They want a job. They want to work. So don't be scared to tell of your accomplishments and all the things that who you are. Don't go with the group.
Well, stuff like that. High school kids, they want to be cool. College kids, they want to be cool. You should go sit on the front row in the job interview, in the group setting. You know, if you're looking around for a leader and you don't see a leader, you're it, because you've already seen that there needs to be a leader in this group. Step up. And this isn't ninth grade math where you just go sit in the back and just be quiet. Because no, you need to sit in the front. Ask. Hey, tell me about this job. What would you be expecting of me once I come? Come with some questions. Because it sounds to me as someone that's hiring, hey, you want to find a fit that's good for you too, not just I'll take any job.
Right.
You know, what are some responsibilities that a cashier may have? Or what are some responsibilities that a cook may have? What are opportunities of advancement in this company? And that shows that you care, that you want to move up, that you're striving to be better than entry-level position.
And I think some people might say, well, this sounds so serious, but for me, I worked at Zaxbys when I was in college, but you are a reflection. You are the front line of that business. So if somebody have a bad interaction with you, they gonna think Zaxby's, I ain't never going back to that Zaxby's, I'm done. That's costing them money. And so that's why they're very selective, like listening to George. You have to be, because you want to put your very best people on the front line because they are representing you. You know, cashiers deal with everybody. It's not the managers. They might come through, but you're the one that's talking to them, how you handle them, how you talk to them, how you show them respect. That is what will draw them back in.
Well, and it's the importance of a first impression. It's what... You did it when you were in elementary school. You put on a nice shirt, you tucked it in, your mama dressed you all cute. And then as you got older, you wanted to be cool, so you had a certain look or a certain style or a certain vibe. So you dressed that vibe or that style, so because you know the importance of a first impression. Same thing on a date. You're going to do everything. You're going to say the right things, open the door, have your playlist ready. Same thing for a job interview. You need to be ready to sell yourself, to set up that first impression, because I got to be able to see you as the face of my company. Can you talk? Are you going to be enthusiastic? Are you going to dress appropriately? Are you going to check all these boxes that I need?
That's true.
So going back to what you were saying about Google, so you're saying prepare for the interview, hop on Google, look up what those questions are, those common interview questions, practice it. Something that I think is hard for most people is to answer that question, what is your weakness or what is your greatest weakness? And that can be difficult because you don't want to tell the worst part about yourself. You're trying to get a job. So how would you maybe give some advice to young adults on how to answer that question?
Good question. And I say that because most interviews are going to have these two questions. What's your greatest strength?
Right.
And then it's coming. What's your greatest weakness? They're like married. You're going to get those two. And I got to answer both of them or give an example because the weakness one's coming. And you don't want to say something. You want to be truthful. You want to be honest, because if you're not being sincere and you're not being honest with your words, it's going to show.
Yeah.
They're going to read right through it. And I've almost dropped this question from my interviews because so many high school students, so many young adults just answer this question so poorly that I know they're a great student. I know that who they are. Maybe I know their parents, but they just can't answer this question. And I see it time and time again. And they'll say things like, I don't have a weakness. And that's not the answer that an HR person, a manager is looking for. Or they may say something like, my greatest weakness is I work too hard. Yeah. Or they may say something, my greatest weakness is I care too much. And okay, that's not really telling me anything. What this question is kind of asking is, are you introspective? Do you know where you stand? Are you seeking to improve? And so some advice, if you ask me, if you ask experts, if you talk to different teachers at school that teach these kind of business courses, is you don't want to say anything that's maybe like a personality attribute, but more like a skill. Yeah. And you got to be careful on the skill line. So like an attribute would be like, at my last job, I just, my manager gave me direction. I just really struggled, taking constructive criticism. Yeah. It sounds bad, but a skill could be like attention to detail, and you could say something like, maybe one of my weaknesses is I've noticed that I lack attention to detail. And so in school, I've seen this. And, my teachers have addressed it with me. And so this last semester, I was making these grades, but I really knew the assignments. My teachers knew it. And so I sat down and I really proofread my papers. I really double checked my assignments before I turned it in. And I noticed that, my letter grade started going up a little bit. And so while that is something that I do see as a weakness, I am working on it. I'm aware of it, and I have seen some ways that I've been able to improve on this area for myself.
That's good. And so, kind of flip it and show how you're overcoming it. You're aware of it, but here's how we're working on it.
Exactly. And so come prepared for that question. Yeah. What is your weakness? And you don't want to say like, I'm a terrible singer, because that's not going to be a good weakness that's going to tell me anything at Zaxbys. Yeah. I want to see that you know who you are as a person, as an individual, as a young adult, and how are you improving yourself. And same thing with greatest strength. I'll ask that question, and they may say that I'm the best. I love music. I can play any song on the tuba, or I can throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, or I'm really fast. I can catch a football. But that doesn't translate into the workforce. Yeah. But it can if you're the section leader of the brass section of the band, and every Friday night, our band director, you can call them. The brass, the woodwind section, we're the best in the band. Everybody's in uniform, on time, ready to go. Yeah. I'm the captain of the offensive line. Right. We won a title as all region offensive line for the last year, and I make sure that all my guys hit all their practices, all their workouts, and you're showing leadership.
Yeah.
You may be a good singer, actor, something else because it's your first job. Yeah. But you can show some leadership skills, some training skills as a great strength to sell yourself as to why you should hire me, because I can do it on the field or in the classroom. I can do it here in your company.
Yeah. Because I will tell you this, leading your peers,
that's hard.
As a teenager, if you can do that, you're miles ahead, because that is hard. You have peer pressure and all that stuff. So that is a great way of using what you're already doing and just using it as an accomplishment. So on this question, I feel like you already kind of touched on this, but really, can you walk us through what that perfect interview would be for you? Like I feel like you gave a ton of advice of if somebody wanted to apply to Zaxbys, how would that look? But what would that perfect interview, they'd be like, that's perfect, I'm hiring you. What would that look like?
Well, easy to get through on the phone, easy to set up. So everything looks good on the front end. So they come to the interview, they're on time or a little early. Don't come an hour early. I don't have time to just
entertain you right away.
I've scheduled it at 3:00. Yeah. Come earlier than 3, but they show up on time, they're early, and they're excited to be here. They got, their body language is that. They're not, because they'll come nervous and they maybe their first interview practiced it.
Right.
So they come, they got a good body energy. They talk to me because I'm going to start off the interview. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got your application. I'm reading it online. I already know what school you go to. I already know your job history. I already know these things about you, but I want to hear you say it. What drives you? What's your passion? And tell me about you. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? What do you want to do? That kind of stuff.
True.
Yeah.
And they engage a conversation. If the interview is very conversational, at the end of it, I'm like, okay, I really like this person. They're relatable. They've got good interpersonal communication skills. They can talk to my customers. I can probably train them because they can receive and understand information.
Yeah.
And they're prepared. They're prepared for these kinds of things, for these questions that I'm going to be asking them. Whether they have job history or they don't have job history, they've sat down and they know what they want to tell me, how they want to present themselves, and how they want to sell themselves. And so that's what I'm looking for is an interview. They're ready. They look the part. They sound the part. They have the enthusiasm. They seem generally excited. They know a little bit about the company that they're coming to work for.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That what makes me feel good. I'm not looking for a certain set of answers. It's not like I have a test and it's like you have to say this.
Right.
Because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some are juniors, some are seniors, some are in college.
Yeah.
But I want to know: are you ready to work? Are you prepared? Are you excited? Are you going to be a good fit for our team?
Are you a good investment? Because that is money. You're putting money into training this person.
Because I've already spent an hour or so going through the applications. I already spent an hour or so going through the interview process. I'm going to spend another hour or two onboarding and going through paperwork. Then I'm going to spend several hours training and developing you to where you're adding value. And so I've got to know that I can take 20 hours of my time to invest into you to get you ready to work.
Yeah.
And so it's very expensive to hire and train, and turnover is a big deal for a lot of businesses, a lot of companies.
Yeah.
Turnover really eats into the bottom line. And so I want to make sure that if I'm taking a risk, it's a very low risk review and that you are ready to go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. George, we can't thank you enough for coming today. I really wish, in hindsight, when I was going to get my first job, that I had some of this advice.
I know.
This is great. So we want to hear from you guys, though. And so be on the lookout. We're going to have a little fun competition, and you're going to have an opportunity to win a Zaxbys gift card. So be looking out for that. Thanks again for joining us today, George. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And we hope that you were able to take away a few little nuggets on interviews and getting a job.
Yes. Thank you, guys.